Well, good afternoon. We're back here again together. It's nice to see you all. I know there are probably lots of people out doing yard work after this rain that it's just rained and rained, and the grass is a mile high. So hopefully people that normally would be here can access it on Zoom or can look at the recording. We usually have a lot of people do that. If you look at your agenda, the first thing on here, and some of you may have missed, there's food over here. Please get up and get a plate of food. We're going to try to do the food differently than we've done it before. Grab it now. You're not going to bother anybody if you go off and grab something. So, and enjoy. It's all pretty healthy. It says TW3. Now, there are only some of us that will be old enough to have any idea what this means. And it had completely escaped my mind until this morning. I was thinking about this last week and how unbelievable every day was in this last week. And so the TW3 goes back to when I was like 10 years old. And there was a television show, and it was called That Was the Week That Was. And it was a satirical program. It took the news clippings, and it made it funny. But in our case, what I'd like to do is just real quickly, kind of like just a free thought exercise. Raise your hand real quickly and say the thing that knocked your socks off the most this week, either this or this. So what you got?
Suspend habeas corpus.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The New Jersey mayor getting arrested.
The New Jersey mayor getting, yes.
The explanation of the Constitution.
Right.
In the oval office.
Yeah. What else we got going on? Pam?
Trump admitting time after time after time, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know her.
I'm hopeful about a coat that maybe is going to care and get people to care about the immigrants and people
A
with
new
humanity.
pope, some hope.
Yeah.
And not the one that was putting his picture out there suggesting that maybe he should be the new pope.
ICE pulling immigrants out of cars in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did not. So it's just so much to keep up with. We are exhausted by it every day, but by coming here together and by being with like-minded people, it helps. So with that in mind, we like to bring you people from out of the area, and we have a man from in the area who's going to introduce our guests. And this is going to be real easy if you're writing down names because they're both named Ray. So this is our Ray. This is Ray McGonigal. And I hope you'll tell them just a tiny little bit about yourself before you introduce our guest from State College.
Thanks, Kathy. Am I where you want me to be? Thank you. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and special shout out to my fellow veterans. Thank you for your service. Some of you, my wife and Susan and I have had the pleasure of knowing for some years. Others of you we've probably met at Indivisible activities in the past. In any case, I want to express our sincere thanks to you for dedicating part of your lives to resisting this MAGA onslaught against our laws, our values, our Constitution, and our country. We are proud to stand with you. I hope pretty soon I'll be proud to march with you. During my time in the military and early in my civilian career, I studied Maoism and the Cultural Revolution in China. I believe that the movement was a classic example of cultism gone wild. And I cannot look at the MAGA movement and not see a strikingly similar cult. All cults strive strictly to control the flow of information to their members. Members are taught early on to dismiss any news or reports that conflict with the beliefs of their leaders, to be fake news or propaganda designed to weaken the power of the cult and challenge the pure truths of their leaders. Thus, anyone who devotes themselves to the pursuit of the truth, of independent facts, becomes an enemy of that cult. Such enemies include scientists, independent newsmen, teachers, librarians, authors, and even the intelligence community whose job it is to deliver the facts to those in power, especially when that news is not good. Cult leaders cannot abide members to hold any loyalties above the one-directional devotion to the head of the cult. America's civil servants and military personnel all swear an oath to the supremacy of the Constitution. Not to any one political leader, not to any president, or not to any politician. In the eyes of the MAGA cult, this makes us all potential traitors to their cause. Cults, of course, are fueled by financial power, and in this, MAGA politicians often display their hypocritical views on veterans. Publicly, they praise the patriotism and courage of vets. Privately, many of them consider aid to vets to be an extravagant form of welfare. These politicians look at the nearly $370 billion budget of the VA and its nearly 1,400 patient care facilities serving over 9 million veterans and their families as a juicy target for private sector takeover to vastly enrich the executives and shareholders in the U.S. healthcare industry, while reducing the specialized care and dedicated staff that are the hallmarks of the modern Veterans Administration. Across this country today, those who speak truth to power and those veterans who have pledged to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, are under siege. And that is why I was honored when Kathy and Dan asked me to introduce our speaker, Mr. Ray Bilger. Mr. Bilger has devoted his entire professional life to the search for truth, to find out exactly what is happening in a confused combat space, in a complex tactical or strategic situation, and to report that information without fear or favor to the powers that be, regardless of how distressing or how unwelcome that information might be. This is how he's helped protect the nation and defend it from all enemies. And this is how he fulfilled his sacred oath to the Constitution. We started our careers in similar ways, working for the military branch of the National Security Agency as linguists. Mr. Bilger in Polish, Serbo-Croatian, Turkish, and Greek languages, and me in Chinese and Japanese. We even attended the same basic intelligence course at Goodfellow Air Force Base, which we young airman wags referred to as Good Buddy Airplane Patch. Though I never saw an airplane on that runway. I don't know if you did, Ray. I went on to do mostly unclassified work for the State Department. Mr. Bilger carved his entire impressive career in operational and strategic intelligence work. His resume reads like an espionage novel. And not only did he play key roles in the National Security Agency, he also carried out a range of assignments with U.S. Special Forces, the Secret Service, the Department of Justice, and NATO, among others. Among his professional awards are the NSA CSS Intelligence Collector of the Year, National Intelligence Meritorious Citation, Joint Meritorious Unit Citation, U.S. Army Commander's Civilian Service Award, Southwest Asia Service Medal with Valor, among many others. So we are pleased and honored to have him here today. And I know that all of us are extremely interested in what this dedicated warfighter and military intelligence expert can tell us about the assault the MAGA administration is making on our military and the veterans community, and what needs to be done to stop it. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Rick. And thank you all for inviting me here. I've had the pleasure of speaking at a number of these Indivisible group meetings and other group meetings throughout Pennsylvania and even as far away as Wisconsin just recently. One of the things that I can say about Indivisible without reserve is that of all the groups that are out there, Indivisible is always the best organized and it's always the best attended. They're always the most active. And that is exactly what we need to be doing right now. We need to be active. We need to be in their faces all the time. So, man, where do I begin? Kathy mentioned the Pope, Pope Leo. MAGAs just hate him, which to anybody here should be a really, really good joy, right? I thought when I saw the first reaction from, I'm gonna run back a little bit. My wife is Catholic, we're both Catholic, but my wife grew up in Poland. So very strict conservative Catholic. So I got a lot of messages from my Polish friends, even before I woke up. Hey, what do you think of the new Pope? What do you think of the new Pope? I said, well, we love him. We think he's great. The MAGAs are going crazy. And so the first thing that I saw was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I thought she was going to have an aneurysm and her head was going to explode. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But
Probably the former.
probably, yeah. So at least that's one good thing. Pretty much everything else I'm going to tell you is going to scare the hell out of you, and it should. As Ray said, I spent most of my adult life, 2/3 of it, working one way or another in intelligence, from all levels, from way down here to up in the senior levels. I was the former technical director for cyber analysis at NSA. That was right after I returned from the State Department. So let's just get right to work on NSA. A lot of this stuff you're not going to hear from anywhere else, because I fortunately have a glimpse yet behind that black curtain. And so I can't give you a lot of the facts I'm going to give you. You're not going to be able to find anywhere online because they don't exist. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to give away any secrets. These are all, benign things, but this is information everybody needs to know. So let's start with NSA. So in the first days of DOGE and this administration, I have a really, really good friend of mine who I worked with for 30 years, reached out to me, and he gave his assessment of DOGE coming into NSA. Now, mind you, the Orange Cheeto guy said all of the intelligence agencies are going to be completely immune from all these cuts, right? We all heard him. So in the first few weeks of DOGE, he described to me these groups of young people with their clipboards and their checklists walking through NSA, and he said it was eerily like the brown shirts in Nazi Germany. They would go through the halls. Anything that fit their checklist for DEI or whatever else was on there was taken down, was covered up. Murals were painted over. They went to the National Cryptologic Museum, where in the Wall of Honor, that's where our best and brightest are. And there were 2 portraits there of the brightest cryptologists that this nation has ever known and who saved us with their code-breaking ability of World War II. Their crime against MAGA is that they're women. Immediately, those portraits got covered up. Then they went on to the interrogations. Again, Nazi Germany. They would go into offices, talk to people, interrogate the people there, ask them who in here initiated or supported DEI initiatives according to their definition of DEI. Those people were summarily fired. Then they said, okay, now let's go out here, and there's a program in NSA where if you're a senior leader and you have mission essential, mission critical skills, whenever you decide to retire, you're given the option of signing a document that says, I will or will not agree to return to the agency if the agency deems my skills mission essential, come back and work for it. They fired all those people and eliminated the program. So we just lost all of our senior leadership, all the institutional knowledge, all the skill sets, all gone. They weren't done yet. They went to the next group, going down the level. Anyone within 3 to 5 years of retirement. These are the people, these are the tradesmen, these are the people who understand the trade craft. They understand the systems, they understand, they have the experience. They've been in the field, they've seen how things operate, and they understand more than anyone at the agency how we get our job done on a day-to-day basis. These are the people we rely on to train all the new people that come in so that we have another generation to take over when they retire. They took these people and they sent them an email, that infamous email that said, here's your $25,000 buyout. You can take this and retire early. If you don't, then we cannot guarantee your further employment. But they weren't done yet. They went down to the interns and they started chopping interns. Now, how interns work at the intelligence agency is, it's not like, you go to Tractor Supply and they say, okay, well, we're going to train you on how to use the equipment and how to use the cash register, in a week or two or a month, your training's over and there you go, off you go. At the agency, first thing you have to do is have a security clearance. Top secret clearance takes, on average, according to the latest information that I saw from last year, 18 to 25 months to complete. When I went through in 1986, my top secret clearance cost about $165,000. So I'm going to be err on the side of caution and say it's going to cost $300,000 now, a little less than that. I think that's probably conservative. Let's say you just took 10 interns, and they've taken more than that. Take 10 interns. So in the interest of efficiency, you just eliminated 10 interns at the cost of $300,000 each. You just cost the American taxpayer $3 million by firing these people. And that doesn't include all the training that they have to get, weeks and months of training into how this organization operates within the entire intelligence community, all the DOJ regulations that you have to know by heart to do your job, because we do conduct our operations within the confines of the law every single day. Believe me, there are checks and balances in place, and Ray can vouch for them. They are just enormous. So without all that training and without the training that they've already gotten in their career fields, which probably adds up to a good chunk of change, we're talking at least $3 million that the taxpayers have footed the bill for in the interest of efficiency. So, interns. When you walk into the agency, get into an intern program, it takes you 2 years. You're in that program for 2 years. And when you graduate, it's not like, okay, you're fully capable, you're going out on your own, go do it. No. You still have to be watched over. It's like the equivalent of, okay, you're crawling, now you're walking. Pretty soon you'll be running, but that's going to take up to 10 years, 8 to 10 years. So you've destroyed the top end. You've eliminated a lot of the people who are supposed to be there to train the new people, and you've eliminated the new people. What's left? Well, that's a good question. There is an agency in the NSA in security that's not very big because it's just to review publications. Anything that you write for public dispersal, for publication down to resumes, all has to be reviewed by this small team. You really don't need a big team because not too many people are out there writing books. Occasionally, they would take a look at some of Tom Clancy's stuff and find out where he got his information, but they weren't that busy. Resumes didn't take up much of their time. So up until the Orange Cheetos and the Fox News people came in and took over the government, they would average about 10 resumes a week. For the past month, can anyone hazard a guess as to how many resumes they review every week? 3,000 over the past month. Every week, 3,000 resumes. So if I'm going to publish a book right now, it's the time to do it because they're not going to have time to look at anything. Just publish anything. So they didn't stop there yet because the Orange Cheeto decided that, you know what? I got to get in on some of this. You know, Musk has been having all this fun, and I got to get in on it. So he went out, sent his crazy psycho, whatever she is, crystal ball lady, Laura Loomer in, and says, you have to fire the director and the deputy director of NSA. So they came in and fired General Howe, whose family lives in Penns Valley, just over the mountain from me, and Wendy Noble, who I worked with in cyber intelligence. And they said, yeah, the reason because you know they didn't do what we were telling them to, you know, and they didn't like Trump and they didn't agree with our political. They were too liberal. We didn't want them. The real reason is, in the early days, when Pete Hegseth came out and said, okay, we are going to cease all offensive cyber operations against Russia, which anybody in intelligence knows is a real bad idea. Russia is the worst cyber actor in the world, and we've known that for decades. When you cease offensive cyber operations, your defensive cyber operations are a lot harder. One feeds the other. You can't have one without the other. So General Howe and Wendy Noble said, yeah, that's a bad idea. We're not going to do that, because they knew that if they did, all of our critical infrastructure, air traffic control networks, transportation, water, nuclear energy, you name it, banking, all comes under attack. And I will preface this part with the fact that this is my analysis only. You will have a very, very hard time convincing me, someone who's done this job for 40 years, that all these aircraft crashes, all these near misses, ATC traffic, the radar going down for 90 minutes at Newark, has nothing to do with either DOJ's meddling in NSA, Cyber Command, or the FAA system, or Trump's firing of these two leaders of NSA. I don't think you're going to have any luck at all convincing me of that. Okay, analysis aside. So we've gone through all that. And so basically, when he removed the leadership there and put whoever he put in charge, probably from Fox News, nothing's getting done. There have been no messages from leadership on what to do, what your goals are, what your mission is. Not a word. Just chaos. So it's just running on autopilot right now. People are going, well, I guess we're doing the same things we're supposed to be doing before. We keep doing that, and no one's saying anything to them. And in the meantime, all these people are sitting around spending most of their time writing their resumes and trying to get them through security because they want out. So let's move on to the Veterans Administration. In the early days, again, a friend of mine, Desert Storm vet, hit me up on chat and said, hey, I just recently, after all these years, started getting treatment for PTSD. Well, Doge came in and cut the program, so I'm no longer getting my treatment. A day or so later, a friend of mine that I met in the State Department actually reached out to me and said, hey, my sister works at the VA in Phoenix, and they just came in, she's an audiologist, and they just came in and they destroyed the entire department. All of them, fired, just like that. Now, they did go back later and say, okay, after the court said, well, you have to rehire the probationary employees. They had one probationary employee, and that probationary employee said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. So in their stead, they put one doctor, one nurse to handle the entire audiology department. So anytime, as veterans know, you've been working on jet engines, you've been working around computer equipment, you've been a linguist, you've been airborne, or you've been a combat, God forbid, you have hearing problems. Hearing problems are one of the major causes of dementia in our society. Dementia tends to lead to PTSD and other serious things that we know as well, especially if you've been a veteran. So, all gone. And in addition, with the people that they've replaced, they're always a swamp. They don't have enough people. There are only 2 people to do a job that an entire office was paying for. So now these 2 people don't have enough people to do that with. So what did the government do? This administration said, okay, we're going to outsource it to a private company, because that's the whole idea of everything they're doing. Outsource it to a private company at 3 to 4 times the cost, and it's already swamped. So you're paying 3 to 4 times for the care that you're getting, and the care that you're getting is not nearly good enough. And because these people have never dealt with veterans before, they don't even understand the rules. They don't understand the regulations. They have no idea what compensation benefits, how to even diagnose your problems for compensation benefits. And you're waiting longer for it. Like, we need that, right? It's already a problem. You still have to wait. I mean, even the VA, the best VAs, you're still going to have to wait some time for your appointments, especially things like audiology, psychology, all that stuff. It's a nightmare to go through. So this is what Doge has been doing there. And then they did the same thing at an audiology clinic at the VA in Hawaii. So we have this government who says that it's pro-America, pro-veteran, making America great. And you look at it, and Hegseth, who's saying oh yeah, we're going to get back to fighting wars, like he knows anything about it. And you have to say, there's no way that they care about veterans. They don't. They don't care about veterans. Words say one thing, actions say another. Their actions say exactly the opposite of what the words are. And I will say this, and this is something that I haven't said anywhere else before, but at the time has come for the gloves to come off. Any single veteran, I don't care who they are, supports this administration or anything they do, who swore the same oath that we swore, has no right to stand up and even be counted among us. They need to be shoved out where they belong, on the fringes, because I've had enough of them. My patience was worn thin up to this point. It's gone. I have no more patience for these people. I will not talk to them. They are not worthy of my time, because we have friends who have died for this. We have sacrificed for it. And these people are an affront to everything we stand for, everything that we fought for. And some of these people fought alongside us, and I don't understand them, and I don't want to. I've given up. Now it's time that we fight them. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're not going to stop. We have to tell everybody that we possibly can to get out there every single day, keep all of your elected representatives accountable. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Remind them every day. If you're not out there, if there's a rally, if there's a protest, if there's a meeting and you're not there, you are responsible. You are just as responsible as every single one of these people. Everyone gets held accountable when this is over, and it's going to be over, and they're not going to like the ending. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ray, for driving all the way over here from State College. This is one of the issues that we wanted to bring up at this point in time, because for one thing, we're starting into all of our patriotic holidays coming up, where everybody's a flag waver, red, white, and blue. So this is good timing for that reason. For another, we feel that in this area, which is so predominantly red and rural, that this is an issue that people support. People like to say that they support veterans. So I know we had some snacks and lunch before this, and one of the things that Ray brought up was figuring out what the mission is. And that resonated with me, and I would just like to say at this point in time that your mission, because you've been in here and you've heard him, is to talk to every veteran that you know and to try to make them understand in any way that you can that the patriotic thing to do right now isn't to wave your flag and support the government as we have it, but to speak out and think outside the box a little bit and take some action. So we're gonna have some opportunities for that.
Before we
to be
move
done.
on, I'm wondering if anybody has a question to address to Ray before we move into the business.
I'll be hanging out later, so I mean, if you want to keep on going here and we get to meeting,
That's okay, we have time.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful resource for us to have here.
I have a kind of I feel it's a lame question. I don't know. But I'm worried about Trump taking over and dictating to the military what they should have to do. And I'm wondering what your take on it. Is the military blindly going to follow now that so many of the generals are being fired? Just the whole structure, it feels to me, is falling apart, and I'm worried that that will be reality. Do you have a sense of what you think will happen?
Honestly, not sure. I used to be able to say that I didn't think the military leadership at the level that they're going to be asked to do these things would go along with that, but now I'm not so sure. Whether the people who would actually be down at the action level, meaning the people on the ground with us, whether they would actually carry out those orders or not, I honestly don't know. I don't think that they wouldn't, but I'm not sure. I really don't know. Like I said, I've seen people that I've flown with, and they keep on vehemently, adamantly supporting this government, and I don't get it. These aren't the same people that I knew back in the day. I don't understand the thought process. It just seems like they've been totally indoctrinated into this, and they're afraid to back out of it. They're too far into it this time. I really don't know.
You have one from the Zoom. How can we protect our private information?
Don't use Signal. WhatsApp is actually a really good, if you have to communicate, WhatsApp is a really good, secure, regularly available application for just for like to have on your phone, use for that, for calls and for data. At home on your computer, use a VPN. Set it to some place that you think would work best, because you can choose your countries in there. Choose some place that's kind of benign and use that. Other than that, be very, very careful about what you put on social media.
You have a reply to WhatsApp, even considering Zuckerberg owns it.
Yeah. Believe me, there are a lot of governments out there who are completely and totally unable to hack into that. Yeah, Zuckerberg could give the government a back door into there, but that would be in violation of the Constitution and of federal law. They can't do that. And I really don't see it. And the only people that would be able to do that would be the FBI, but they don't have enough people to actually sort through the data that they would get. Mm-hmm. So I'd say the chances of, even if they did do that and did all those things against the law, the chances that they would find anything from your communications are very low.
Any other questions? Christine?
It seems to me from the very beginning, in 2016, it's been WWPD. What would Putin do? How responsible for what we're going through is the orange fascist allegiance to Putin? Is this what Putin would want?
I think a lot of things are what Putin would want, but I think that Trump is actually so fixated on his own personal selfish interests that he'll just use whatever tool he has available on him, right? And when Putin is efficient for that purpose, then he uses him. I don't think yeah, I think he's got a lot of history with Russia and with Putin, but I wouldn't go too far down that road. Might be personally, I wouldn't go too far down that road. I just think he would use anybody as long as it meets his ends.
So are you saying that it's not safe anymore to, like, my social media is nothing but post after post against, resistance. Are you saying this isn't safe for us to do anymore?
No.
Now,
no,
traveling,
absolutely
I wipe it
not.
off
No,
my
absolutely
phone.
not. I do
Go
the same
ahead,
thing.
just,
I do
because
the
I'm
same
like
thing.
of the attitude that I'm against it. I'm not hiding it.
Yeah, that's
fighting
fine. Because there's, really, if they're gonna round up everybody that's doing that, it's not gonna be.
Yeah, okay. You
But-
just said be careful on social media.
Yeah, just be careful on what you say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No
Because if
threats,
you say like, this
yeah.
guy needs to be shot or something like
Right,
that, you
yeah,
can't do that
gotcha.
on social media.
Yeah, no, I'm very careful, yeah. And traveling, did you see that last night? Apparently Newark had another 90 minutes, exactly 90 minutes. Again, that's very,
90 seconds. Should be
suspicious
very
that it's
tough.
90 minutes each time. Again, outage. So what do you feel about traveling? Like foreign traveling?
Avoid Newark at all costs.
Oh, for sure, yeah, I posted that one
Which
too. Anybody
unfortunately,
flying,
that's where I was
yeah,
gonna go,
do
but,
not do Newark, yeah.
Avoid Newark at all costs.
Yeah,
And probably Reagan
yeah,
as well, because
yeah.
they've got
Oh,
issues.
yeah. Do you think it's safe at this time to travel for? And I've been traveling another European trip.
Yeah, I think it's safe. The only, as long as you avoid certain places.
Yeah.
But, that are obvious, but the concern that I would have with foreign travel is how you're going to be perceived overseas.
Mhm.
I know that Poland, like I said, my wife is Polish and I have relatives there. You know, visitor here. Poland, as far as European countries go, they were overwhelmingly in support of the United States. 90% supported the U.S. and they were very pro-U.S. Now it's 60 to 70% against.
Mm.
They're very adamantly, no, we're not Trump people. As a matter of fact, there was the former Polish cultural attaché to Turkey, was a good friend of ours. And I had a friend from here going to visit Krakow in Southwest. And so I thought, okay, I'll reach out to Piotr because he knows everything there. You can show him around. He was born there. His first question to me was, number one, I had to wait a while for his response, which was really unusual. And then he was like, which part of the political spectrum is this guy in? And he was also with friends of the U.S. cultural attaché in Krakow. They wanted to know, both of these guys, where do they stand on the political spectrum? And I had to assure him first that, yes, they were both liberal-minded people, and before he would do anything. And even when they had the meeting, the guy just got back that I know, was telling me, even when they had their first meeting, Piotr was really, kind of not too sure about this guy. But yeah, it turned out okay. But they're very, very, very skeptical of any American that's coming forward. So you might want to consider that. You may be treated a little worse on the way in, and then of course when you come back here.
Yeah, I'm kind of more worried about coming back in, what it's going to be like. My daughter's boyfriend is of Indian descent, and they're not with us. Well, we're not going to make it. And I'm like, you have to think about this. It's not as easy. Yeah.
My wife is worried that she's a dual citizen, and so is my son, and they're both worried that certainly my wife is worried that she's going to get deported. Because of what I'm doing.
So they are valid worries, is what I'm trying to. Thank you.
I had a kind of heartbreaking conversation with my son last month when he was up to see me. He was born in Cape Town when I was serving there at the embassy, and his passport and his birth certificate said he was born in South Africa. Now, a friend of mine was a consular officer. He also got a U.S. birth certificate. But my son is taking his wife on a short vacation to London this summer, and he's worried about whether he's going to be stopped in TSA on the way in. But all I could do for him was to give him his diplomatic passport as a baby, with his baby picture on it, and my late wife and my diplomatic passports, expired passports. Tell him to put them in a suitcase. But why? I mean, why?
Fear. That's why, just fear, just to make people afraid.
Any other questions for Ray? For discussion on this part of the day? Yeah.
I just wanted to speak quickly to like traveling abroad. Right now, I was a solo traveler for like 10 years, and I work with some people like pretty high in like the solo female travel industry in specific. And some of my friends live in Prague, and she is writing a post on being an American living abroad with this current government. And for the most part, in most countries, they're anti-American government,
Exactly.
but they're gonna be fine with you.
Yeah.
Unless you go around saying, like, don't wear a MAGA hat.
Oh.
Which like none of us would do anyway,
Yeah.
but like if you, for example, wear a MAGA hat in Europe, you're an idiot. Or like, you know, the American flag or like weird American nationalism type things, Europeans will call you out, Central American, Mexicans, like they're just why.
Yeah,
It's
Italy
weird.
was no problem a couple of months ago, pre-election. I mean, it was not even.
And I know, like, I haven't left the country since the election, but like a lot of my friends live abroad or are full-time travelers, and they're all saying, you know, Italy is treating us differently. Like they're treating MAGA people, you know, people that go around like bragging about being MAGA, but for the most part, they're like, oh, like, are you okay? Like,
sympathy.
you poor American, like, and I've even had like taxi drivers love to talk about politics in foreign countries. Like I was in Montenegro and he's like, yeah, so that Trump guy. And I was like, oh, start on this, please. So I would not be afraid to travel at this point with privilege of having an American passport.
Right.
And I mean, when I leave, I'm deleting what's like once I come back in, like before I get on the plane, I'm deleting the apps and
That's
stuff.
what I, you know.
Just in case, like it's
Burn
never a
time.
bad idea to write down like emergency numbers or memorize a number, just worst case. And just obviously be careful in airports, because if you try any protesty stuff in airports, they
Right.
will not.
I'm honestly more concerned about the coming in, back in with my boyfriends.
I just was in Central Europe for 2 weeks and everybody was friendly and didn't have any negative interactions
Yeah.
with people. because
Yeah, I'm
I
not
was
worried about
American.
that part at
And
all. I
coming
think
back
they'd be
into the
welcome.
country, do you have that special entry?
I have global entry, yeah.
So you just waltz right through. It was no different
Yeah.
for us at least. My funniest encounter was when I was going from one European country to another and had to go through customs. And the Austrian woman, very proper, said, so I hear your Mr. Trump has redecorated his office. It is all gold. Does he want to have a palace?
Yeah. I saw a good comment. Someone said Trump's trying to be decorate it like Versailles, but from Timu. Yeah, that's not right. But did you notice coming back, people being accosted much by ICE if they were people of color or by their
Well,
name?
like I
or-
said, I went through
Yeah.
that global.
Yeah, okay, so then we
So it
might,
wasn't
might
just-
not have as
yeah.
much problem.
I didn't see any of it.
One more for you. I can't speak to airports, but me and my fiance cross the Canadian land border on occasion, and we've yet to have any issues. It's usually the Canadian side that's more hassles than the US side, which I don't know. But yeah, we're both trans. She's a person of color. We've not had any issues.
Can you tell us how to access the video?
It'll be posted on the Facebook page and in the notes. There'll be a link for it about 4 hours after the meeting ends.
Ray, are you comfortable with sharing that with other veterans or?
That would be wonderful. I think that would be great outreach.
If you give me your email, I'll send you the link directly and you can post it wherever.
Just one quick question, anybody who has veterans who are friends or family or, cousins or people that you've known, do you notice any shift in their thinking? Has there been any,
I'm a veteran myself. I have an uncle that was in the Air Force for a whole career, like 20 plus years, and he's also a pastor and he's super MAGA. And like, you can't tell them anything, it's just, there's a block there.
It's like they're bewitched.
I wrestle with this, but I think since we've been dealing with this since 2015 and him, that we were advised, listen to people, give them a chance to tell their side, and I feel we did that. And almost this is what we got, because you still, you're surrounded by family and friends who are all of the other persuasion. And it's like people say to you, can't talk about it, know where you stand. They don't want to listen to me and what I feel. And and I cried when you spoke. I mean, I'm not living what you're living, it bothers me to the point where I do want to start saying, but then you lose family and friends and then you're more alone. I don't know what the right answer is.
In my experience, because I've called out my friends, my veteran friends especially, on this. For every friend you lose, number one, they were never really your friend because you have serious ideological differences. They don't believe in the same things that you do. For every friend you lose, you gain 10 more. And that's been exactly the way this is played out. If at least 10. There's people out there, there are a lot of people just like us who are afraid to speak up, or we're afraid to speak up for fear of losing your friends. Well, at that point, the way I look at it is I have a choice. I can stand up for what I believe in, and what I firmly believe in, or I can continue appeasing people whose company I can no longer stand.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what put me over the limit. And I honestly, really, I don't care. I don't care what the thing is. That's just me.
No,
There's a
I
place for people
understand.
who need to work to try to bring these people back, but I'm not one of them.
A little harder with relatives.
Yeah.
Really, my sister, I mean, my whole family that's still around, they're all extremely pro-med. If we get into a discussion, I just let them have it. I'd say, well, here are the facts. You can either believe the facts or you can believe whatever it is you're getting from wherever you're getting.
And they don't
If you're gonna
respect
do
your
that,
service.
Get out of my face, because
Yeah.
you're wasting my time.
Groupthink, I think, is your point about since 15, encouraging us to listen, right? I think the collective noise of us being patient,
right,
and the loudness, right, has harmed us in that sense, because it's been, well, it just must be right because everybody's saying it, right? And now we have AI, right? I saw somewhere like a girl was going to school and she was just dressed as a celebrity, and they asked Alexa, what celebrity should my daughter dress as? And the top two were Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Like, name 3 celebrities. And it was Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Come on, right? But with so much being written right now about those people, it's starting to change the narrative of who is a celebrity now. Are you kidding me? But it's becoming very true. But something that concerns me greatly, just 3 days ago, there was a layoff at Brookfield Equipment, right? One of the major employers in Brooklyn. And someone was ranting about how unfair it was, right? This is so terrible. 18 hours and 53 comments before someone said, the economy is uncertain. 18 hours and 53 comments. It only took 22 comments and about 12 hours before someone denigrated some Mexicans. Okay, so let's give it some time. But I think it speaks to the disconnect between their reality and reality, right? Why did Brookfield Equipment lay off some people? Tariffs, right? People aren't signing contracts to buy big trains to move into their cities, because they're usually liberal cities that have trains that move people, right? The Biden infrastructure bill, that money is being cut off, right? We all know why Brookfield Equipment is probably laying off some people. But the people that are living in Brookfield are so disconnected from the reality that is now landing on them.
Because what they watch and listen to is full of lies, and you can't
If
tell
they
them
watch it at all, because so many people have become apolitical, they just don't, I don't want politics. I don't pay attention to politics. I don't wanna know about politics, right? Until their milk's bad, the chicken's bad, right? Like literally people are getting sick, we're not testing for things, we can't fly anymore, right? These are things that are very real, but so many people choose to opt out of it until it lands on their head. I've had some vets that just got their disability that they've been fighting to get increased, magically increased. You have one person in a family constellation of 60 people, got their military benefit go from 60 to 80%. Oh, I love the military. One person. How the hell is that happening when the rest of them are being affected by, right, entire departments being decimated? You get one person that has a good thing happen. Oh my God, we're being taken care of, right? It's terrible. But so many people allow themselves to believe, right? Like, I'm not political. I don't, politics, they're so ugly, right? And
Both sides suck. That's what I.
well,
have
and they don't
many
stop,
times.
and we've been allowed to be convinced that they are, and it's so challenging to figure out how, and I don't disagree with you, Ray, I'm with you, like, how do we talk to these people, right? How do, and not every one of us needs to, right? And the fact that you guys get out and you show up and you're present and you make people feel safe, that they can be angry about it, because there are people sitting at Sunday dinner angry about it, right? But they didn't feel safe being angry about it out loud, is phenomenal. But my God, there's an election coming, right? And we need to offer them options. I'm hoping there's,
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's options, you know, maybe options. Because we have to be talking to those people, right? They're not testing milk. They're not testing for E. coli. They're not testing for salmonella in chicken, right? These are things that, right? I mean, holy, and I mean, the ports are empty, right? The ports are empty now. Trucks aren't moving. I was just laughing about the 2 truck stops that they just built out, right? Did anybody think about, there's no traffic moving, there's no trucks moving, I mean, what the hell do they think they're gonna, I can't even fathom, right? This idea that people don't wanna talk about politics, I think is gonna wane. And when it wanes, we need to be ready to talk to them about what politics means in a way that they can understand and digest, not in a we told you so way, but.
even though you'd really like to say.
Oh, don't you doubt it. I really want to be like, well, you know, we've been telling you so for, you know, 8 years. There's room for a little bit of it, but like, but finding the people that can, and then giving them an option of what they can do about it. And it's going to take all of us to do that, right? And I think that's the beautiful thing about all these Indivisible chapters building and all these different voices. There can be the people out there with the, you know, Trump is Putin's puppet. I love that sign. I have it in my car. I'm so grateful you guys made it, right? There's that, but there's also the people that are gonna be able to knock on the door of with the Trump sign in it, because if we don't pull those people, some of them, and Trump signs are coming down places too. You've seen that.
Oh, yeah, right.
You've seen that, right?
They're non-existent.
Right? Well,
I saw one the other day, just a couple days ago, but one instead of,
Yes.
like dozens.
Right, so something's shifting, like something's, so there is something shifting. There are people that are willing to have conversations. I just don't know how, and the things that change people's minds, what are they, right?
Well,
Like,
Thoughts, does anyone have this situation where you work with these people?
Well, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, what do we do then? It's getting harder and harder, you know, to leave it at the door, to not make snide comments, I do slip those in. I know my audience, but those are the people that are hard to, how do you talk to them? Can you talk to them?
I would do it about chicken. If I'm having lunch with somebody.
That's the where
Probably
that's
wouldn't
where
order
I
the
fit
chicken.
it in, yeah.
Right? And they're like, why not? Well, I mean, we're not testing for salmonella anymore, and I don't have any more sick days.
Yeah.
So I really don't wanna have, I just can't call out.
That's
Like,
what I have
do
to
you
do.
mean?
You
You
have
have
to.
to,
Yeah.
right? Or like, be careful about milk, or make sure you only buy it at Aldi. Aldi's still testing independently their milk supply. They'll be like, what do you mean? Well, the USDA fired the people that test their milk.
Aldi is still testing.
Aldi still tests for milk. There's
Costco
3
is too.
companies that do. So like, that's, you know, or hey, here's a list of the people on TikTok that people rely on to get bird flu news. You might want to know that. I don't know, it seems weird that the CDC doesn't do it anymore, but hey, public safety, right? We now have to get it through a third party. So like, I just want to make sure you're safe, but really, choose the beef. Oh, and especially if you're out somewhere like a roadside, like the Indian place, which I love, but right? I don't know if I can, maybe stick with the vegetarian option, right? Because I mean, do you have any more sick days left? Without saying a word about Kim, you're bringing it to the real, right? Do they have sick days left? Especially if you're taking care of a sick someone.
And what are you gonna do about Christmas this year for your grandchildren?
Are you planning?
You
You might want to be shopping now, and who knows if that's what they're gonna want.
Let
Or
them eat cake.
there might only be a black Barbie on the shelf. How's that gonna go over? I'm just saying, those are the choices that might be real for your family. Oops.
All right, well.
A comment on the Zoom, American Medical Association has a YouTube to keep people informed. I'm assuming that's with regard to salmonella and milk.
So we're gonna start having people showing up, probably, we have our other meetings to March with us. So we're gonna run through the rest of this agenda. One thing that I think that is obvious that this summer is critical. I mean, I feel, and I've heard a few other people feel the same way, that if we don't get this under control and start putting out this fire this summer, we're done. By the end of the summer or into the fall, or at least by Christmas, we're gonna be so far over the dam that we are not gonna get back. So please look at these events coming up that we're gonna tell you just a little bit about each one of them. And bring people, drag them if you have to, say, please come to this, because only if these events keep growing are we gonna make a difference. So first of all, Jamie Sewell is back here. She's a veteran from the Air Force. Come on up, Jamie. She actually found us, stumbled into one of our events, and it was great. She spoke, and I found out had gone to the big veterans rally on the National Mall in March, the one I watched on TV. She was actually there, and she would like to go again. So she's going to talk a little bit about that.
Not that one. Hi, I'm Jamie from the Air Force, from the 26th Air Control Squadron out of Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. So there's another big Veterans March being planned for June 6th, the 81st anniversary of D-Day in Washington, D.C. Now, there's other events being planned in like other state capitals for the same day, but the people who organized the one on 314, Cliff Cash, he's a comedian, but he's a really great speaker. He's got really great ideas. American Opposition, they're trying to plan the biggest march in Washington on June 6th and get as many veterans and anybody, even if you're not a veteran, if you care about democracy, if you care about defeating fascism, we need to get there on June 6th and shut that city down. I have a few websites here, uniteforveterans.org, and it's 4 and the number 4. So unite the number 4 veterans.org if you want more information on that particular march. I myself am going, and I'm trying to start a veterans group here in Clarion. That is anybody, and you don't have to be a veteran, but trying to get as many people who are interested in attending that march on June 6th that are wanting to go down to DC, trying to organize that, see how many are interested. So maybe we can carpool, maybe we can get a bus. I don't know. It depends on how many people in the area are wanting to go.
You have a sign-up sheet.
I do. I have a sign-up sheet here.
For email, if you're interested in the veterans group.
Right. Also, Cliff Cash, again, he helped organize the first Veterans March. He's trying to flood the internet with videos of veterans speaking out against what's going on. There's an email if you are a veteran, and again, you don't have to be a veteran if you support veterans and are angry and pissed off and completely disgusted about what is happening to veterans. We're trying to flood the internet with videos of veterans, and that email address you can send a video to is veteranflood@gmail.com. And he's compiling just enormous amounts of videos to just
Say that again.
veteranflood@gmail.com.
Sounds great.
Flood.
Veteran.
Single.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
They're right there. So if you want to make a video about how completely disgusted you are about what's going on in our country and what's going and happening to veterans, there is an email to send. Along with Ray's idea of having a mission, and also this is another thing that Cliff Cash had talked about. There's the amount of people that have been protesting has been inspiring and really empowering. We really need to start really aiming these protests at a target and have a mission, because it is, and I'm not putting down anything that we have accomplished. I mean, if you look at what's happening to Tesla, and it's because of the enormous amount of people who have gone out and protested day after day after day all over the place. They lost 71% in profit, and Musk is trying to step out of the government now. And their board of CEOs is trying to find a new CEO. So, and that is completely because of all the people that have stood up and said, fuck no. Excuse my language, but I'm at that point where I'm, yeah.
You're not the first.
So we need to start taking this and aiming it at targets. One of his suggested targets was the media, to get thousands of people at these media outlets and insist that they start telling the truth. Another one, again, is the representatives and the senators. On Tuesday at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be in Oil City. If anybody wants to join me, I'm going to be outside Glenn Thompson's Oil City office. And I'm going to be demanding that he step aside out of MAGA and get his head out of his asshole and start representing his people, or he will be held accountable. And I will be going there every week.
Did you say Tuesday? I'm sorry.
Tuesday at 3 o'clock on the 13th.
Is he on the 13th?
Yes, his Oil City office on Elm Street.
And he will be there?
I don't know if he will be there or not.
Okay.
But I will be there.
And even if he's there, they'll probably tell you he's not.
Yes, right.
Same day, we do Tuesdays with Thompson at his office on the Better Pike and Belfont.
Awesome.
And we're gonna be there on Tuesday, so we do every single Tuesday, we have some group switch around and take that Tuesday.
Awesome.
If you haven't seen Cliff Cash's video about MAGA prayer, you gotta watch. It'll have you rolling in the aisles, but for
And he is
strange
hilarious.
reasons.
He is absolutely hilarious. And he does have his really great ideas of how we can actually take our country back.
Can you say where and when again? Sorry.
It's gonna be at, on Tuesday at noon. We do noon to 1, try to catch the lunch crowd, of all the MAGA people going back and forth on that fight.
Yeah, so we're gonna start, at least anybody who wants to join me, I'm gonna be going Tuesdays to the Oil City office at 3 o'clock and protesting our ass out of his office, whether he's there or not, because we will still be heard. There's assistants in those offices and there's people on the streets. We still will be heard, and we will be directing what we have to say at a target.
And I can tell you that these protests work. The very first protest we had in front of his office, I got fired by him. So I was on his service cabinet advisory board. And that really pissed him off that I was out there protesting for veterans' rights and for national security. He does not like it. Any publicity in front of his office, he's taking a hit from Mark.
So if anybody would like to join me, 3 o'clock is Tuesday in Oil City. His office is at 217 Elm Street, Suite B, in case you need.
That'll be in the notes.
By the way, I used to look in the paper for any article about him. And I would send in a letter to the editor about his behavior. The last one, I guess, I've stopped doing that since the Clarion News has changed its editorial, its editor. But the last one was during COVID when he came up with some rationale, some silly rationale, and I said, you shouldn't get your medical advice from a guy who has 2 degrees in recreational therapy. Anyway, he responded, his office responded to me in an email with no text. It's just, I'm watching you.
Wow. I would be mad at chief of staff. He made a call to me about one of the letters that I sent him. It was about Ukraine. And he called me up to give his spiel about how the senator had been, or congressman had been supporting Ukraine. And so I said, okay, Matt, 2 questions for you. When the government decided that it was going to cease all weapons deliveries to Ukraine, did he vote for or against that? And when the government decided to cease sharing all of our intelligence to Ukraine, did he support that? And he went back, he started saying the same thing that he just said before without answering my question. I said, look, Matt, I spent 40 years inside the Beltway. You and I both know that I know exactly what you're doing. All I want to do is hear an answer, and he hung up on me. He doesn't like us very much when we call him out. Oh, that's exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, I got an email. I wrote a, when Congress decided to cancel the sanctions on Deripaska, the Russian oligarch, I wrote a rocket to his office. And I got a response, which I thought was surprising. But in it, it made the case that if we don't, Deripaska then, what he did was he removed himself from his holdings, his shaky financial deals, and stepped back. But he was still, it was a paper thing. And the response was, one, he's no longer directly affiliated with these nefarious corporations. And so we should reward the Russians for their enlightened policy of getting him out of the way. Maybe he's still floating around. And secondly, we need aluminum in this country, and he's the major aluminum exporter. And I wrote them back a reply, but you see now, they're slapping tariffs on Canada. That's going to make us even more dependent on Russian aluminum.
Yeah, because Russia's the only place that didn't get tariffed.
Yeah. So.
So we're going to talk next. Amy's going to come up and give you a sneak preview as to the next enormous day of action is being plugged for June 14th, which is Flag Day, and which there's another thing going on, a happy parade somewhere.
So this is a little frivolous after what we've been hearing about, but I want you to get out your calendar and make a note of the date, Saturday, June 14th, because instead of a regular monthly meeting, we're going to be celebrating that day. Starting at noon, No King's Day. Groups all over the country are going to be rallying on that day too. So while Trump and the MAGA faithful, well, faithful to him, not to our Constitution or to our traditional patriotic values, while they gather in DC for a military parade to celebrate their dear leader's birthday, just like the North Koreans do for Kim Jong-un. while they embarrass America in front of the world on Flag Day, which should be about our flag and our country, not about Trump. We want to celebrate our vision of America with an old-fashioned patriotic ice cream social, complete with patriotic speeches and music. When I was little, I remember dressing up in red, white, and blue, taking my tricycle to my cousin's house because there was a parade in that neighborhood that the kids got to be in. And we followed Uncle Sam down the street of this neighborhood to a park, and we had picnics and ice cream with strawberries and blueberries to celebrate the 4th of July. Abraham Lincoln came every year and recited the Gettysburg Address, of course. That's my inspiration for our June 14th, No King's Day. While they cost taxpayers millions of dollars driving tanks through the streets of Washington, D.C., we'll be at Clarion's Veterans Memorial Park, honoring Americans' traditional values: liberty and justice for all, freedom of speech and of religion, freedom of the press, welcoming refugees, and helping those in need. And we will be honoring our flag as we remember our veterans and the troops that continue to keep our nation free. We hope everyone will join us in this celebration so we can parade around the park with signs and flags proclaiming pride in our vision of the USA. So bring your family and your friends. Dress in red, white, and blue. Trump wants to rule like a king. He has single-handedly destroyed the American economy and is now telling us to stop buying so many dolls and pencils for our kids. And by the way, we don't need strollers.
He doesn't even know what a stroller is.
Those things that, they push it.
Then you push the baby around in, you know.
What do you call it?
We should cut back while he gilds the White House in 24-karat gold. Let them eat cake. We hear him. Now here's a chance to be angry, but also to have some traditional fun. So watch the newsletter, the Facebook page, and your email for information about June 14th. And please let us know if you'd be interested in helping to organize or share a talent at this event. Maybe we could have a band, some carnival games, the ISO truck, a cupcake walk, historic characters in costume. We have a month until No King's Day. Let's make it a day to remember.
So we have a bunch of side groups for this group, in case you're new to us. We have some book club offerings, and we have some other groups that we're hooked in with. So let's go down just real quickly the list. June 23rd, you're invited to a sing-along with protest songs over at Michelle's Cafe.
That's May 23rd, that's a typo. That's coming up real quick. And I want to say, if you are interested in coming to that and you have a song suggestion, if you get it to us beforehand, we can get the lyrics hopefully printed out. We're just hoping to have this sing-along with 3 guitar players, a couple people sing, not me. And we're going to just do kind of like Peter, Paul, Mary kind of thing. All those old folk songs that we used to sing. So if you can think of anything you'd really like to do, the email address for Indivisible, just send that to me and then we'll make sure that that gets on the list.
So we also have our, where it says the S&B group, that's the Stitch and Bitch group that still meets twice a month. And last month, did you guys have fun making the, I was away, but I really wanted to, the voodoo dolls. I'm so sorry I missed that one. But sometimes
Mine has orange hair.
There may be something I'm thinking that could be done for this June 14th or, June 14th event at the next Stitch and Bitch. So you're invited to that.
What's the
May
date?
31st is a book club, one of the Indivisible book clubs. The book is Flight Behavior, and June 21st, if you want to get reading, start something new for Pride Month. I believe this was selected for that, the house in the Cerulean Sea. So there are lots of things to do besides protest. We mainly want to have things that you can identify with, where you feel like you're learning something and hanging out with people that have like values. So that's what these side groups are for, to build community. Bring people to those as well. And we have our final fun ever since we started this. We decided we should end the formal part of our meeting. Yeah, Dan?
I just want to say, it's a positive observation. There are a few of us, Christine, Amy, myself, who routinely hit the local papers with letters to the editors. There are letters showing up like every day from people I have never heard from before. And so there's folks out there that feel strongly about this stuff, and they've been sitting silent, and they're not being silent anymore. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a really good thing.
Yes, indeed.
And if you see those names and you think, oh, I know that guy, he's down there, maybe tell them about this group. You know, we don't put our meetings in the newspaper. We're such a red area and so rural that we have not just put it, it's not like this is the fire department or something else that, everybody supports. So we're a little bit careful how we invite people to these. But you can invite people if you know that they're like-minded people. That would be very helpful to us. So our final
And that's how
fun.
we got Christine involved.
It is.
She was writing letters to the leader of Indiana.
It's true, we tracked her down.
Somebody has to know her. We need to get her in here.
We need that woman here. We did.
Which one do we want? Do we want the video or do we want the
I
photo?
want the video,
You want the video?
Tesla.
Yep.
So this seems so appropriate for today.
Ready?
Yeah.
My name is Ken Turner and I'm 98 years old and I've served in the British Army in World War II, as did this Sherman tank. I'm old enough to have seen fascism the first time around. Now it's coming back. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, is using his immense power to support the far right in Europe. And his money comes from Tesla cars. Well, I've got this message from Mr. Musk. We've crushed fascism before, and we'll crush it again. So let's go. Shall we? Let's go.
To the park, down and back will probably be only an hour of that.
I'll put the link to this video in the meeting notes, or if anybody wants to share it.
We'll wait 10 minutes or 5 minutes in case we'll send someone out to see if there are people up there waiting to march with us, which has been typical. But please grab some food. This is a perfect chance for you to do it and talk to each other and get to know each other. Get contact information.